guys, in a previous video we talked about nouns, and in yet another one we talked about markers of the noun. Today we'll be talking about pronouns. So what is a pronoun? As you may know, a pronoun actually refers back to a noun or takes the place of that noun. In other words, pronouns do exactly what nouns do. So let's give an example to illustrate this. I could have a sentence like, I saw George today. He was not looking well. I saw George today. He was not looking well. So can you easily identify the pronouns in that sentence? Yeah, so I is a pronoun there. He is also a pronoun. But looking at that sentence, what would you say he, or who would you say he is referring to? I or George? Yes, you guessed right, George. So that is to say that pronouns would always substitute nouns and would always replace them. So in that sentence, I saw George today, he was not feeling well or he was not looking well, you find that he there was referring to George. And as such, George in that context would be referred to as an antecedent. An interesting thing you need to know about pronouns is the fact that pronouns show number. It's either singular or plural. Many times too, pronouns would change form to reflect its function. So for example, you could be looking at a pronoun from the point of view of it being in the subjective case, that is, being in the subject position. It could also be in the objective case, that is to say that a pronoun happens to be in the object position. Or it could be in the possessive case, that is to show ownership. Well, that having been said, what are the types of pronouns we have so that during your reading or writing you can easily spot them out? There are quite a number of them. We have the personal pronouns, we also have the relative pronouns, demonstrative pronouns, interrogative, intensive, reflexive, indefinite, and reciprocal pronouns. We'll see how far we go with talking about these types of pronouns. And by the end of this video, you should be able to carry out at least 3 exercises that would help you see how much you've come to terms with knowing and identifying these pronouns and using them, of course. So let's get started. What is a personal pronoun? Well, as the word implies, personal, a personal pronoun would then refer to a specific person, place, thing, or idea by indicating the person that is speaking. So maybe the first person, I. It could also be the person or people being spoken to, and we would always regard whoever is being spoken to as the second person. And then if there's any other person, place, or thing that is being talked about, not the one being directly addressed, but the thing that is being talked about, the person that is being talked about, then that is a third person. But then all of these put together are to be regarded as personal pronouns. And like I noted to you earlier on, personal pronouns actually express number. They're either singular or plural. So I have mentioned 3 persons to you. So the first person there, singular, would be I in the subjective case. That is to say, for every time I am using a pronoun in the subject position, I would have to use I when I am referring to myself, the speaker. And if I were to talk about myself, the speaker, in the object position, I would use me. So subject case, I, object case, me. And that's singular. Okay, so let's have an example to illustrate that. So I could say, I will go to the market today. So I is a subject, and that's why I've said that. I could also say, I would like you to call me later today. So me there is in the object position. And so there is no reason for me to say, I would like you to call I. That would be very wrong. So me would always come in the object position, I in the subject position. Now that's singular. What about the first person plural? What would that be? That would be we and us. So we will be in the subject position, the subject case, and us will be in the object case. So for example, we could say, we'll keep the pup with us. We, subjects, plural. Us, objects, plural. First person. So we have two first persons, as it were, I and we. Me and us, as it were. Now what about the second person? That's quite easy to identify. The second person would always be you, singular or plural. Okay? So it comes both in the subject and object position. So I could say, you may use the spell checking program. I could be talking to you. You as an individual, just you, or I could be talking to the whole class. And I would say you, and that will be understood as plural. So you always want to look at the context to know which is which. Then what about the third person? The third person would have us looking at it as singular and plural as well. So for the third person singular, we have he, she, and it. Now for he, in the subject case, its object case will be him. He told him not to go there. We could also have she told her not to go there. Or I told her not to go there. In that case, you're having she only in the subject position and her only in the object position. For no reason should you swap it. Then third person plural would have us having they and them. So they would always be in the subject position. For example, we'll say a thing like, they accomplished all the tasks assigned to them. There is no way we would say them accomplished, no. But we'll say they accomplished all the tasks assigned to them. It, on the other hand, is a third person. And we always use it in the singular mode, both for subject and object position. What about possessive pronouns? We also have it in the first, second, and third person. Now take note that possessive pronouns always take the place of possessive forms of nouns. So we did talk about possessive forms of nouns. For example, you say Jide's bag. And so when you say Jide's bag, what's a pronoun you think we can use to replace Jide's bag? So the noun Jide, apostrophe and S, you remember? Okay, so what pronoun can we use to replace that? So we could say, yes, did I hear you? His bag. So his becomes something, a word that we can use, a pronoun that we can use to replace, a possessive pronoun that takes the place of the noun Jide's. Okay, so for the first person, I would have my bag. Oh, that bag is mine. If you were to use it in the object case, that bag is mine, or my bag is this or there. Then for the second person, would have your, this is your bag, or this bag is yours. Okay, showing possession. And then for the third person, would have his, like I already gave an example, or we have her bag. We also could say this bag is his, this is his bag, that goes. But for her, we'll say this is her bag, or this bag is hers. And then for the possessive form of the word it, the pronoun it becomes its, that is its without any apostrophe. Of course, you do know that if you put an apostrophe after t, that is it apostrophe s, it will mean a contraction of the word it is, that is it is. So be careful there. When you're using the possessive form of the noun, it should be its. And we could have an example like, it is its turn to go. It is its turn to go. Okay, now what about the plural forms of these verbs? So for the first person, it will be, remember, for personal pronouns, we said we. So the possessive will be our or ours. This house is ours, or this is our house. It could, then for the second person, it still maintain the your, yours. For the third person, you talk about their. Remember we said the third person personal pronoun would be they and them. So for possessive pronouns, it will be their and theirs. So that is their house, or that house is theirs. All right, so that's about personal and possessive pronouns. So you're going to have an exercise shortly. Do look out for it, where you're going to try to identify some sentences by saying whether they are first person, second person, or third person sentences. Then also show if it is singular or plural. And then if the pronoun is possessive, write possessive. Now try that out and let us see how it goes. And in the next video, we're going to talk more about other types of pronouns.